Alrighty, folks, Simon here. This is a 2021 TAC Open tournament match between Ali and Pluto the Brave. This will be a phenomenal match, and this has some final standings consequences here. Let's take a look at the standings in the tournament so far. Fwib has guaranteed his slot as number one. Abyss has not quite guaranteed his slot in number two, but he has guaranteed his spot in the top four. And why is the top four important? The top four is important because the top four qualify for the TAC Championship, which takes place next year. Now, the top four qualify only because Fwib was already qualified as the reigning champion. The fact that he won means that it's the top four instead of the top three. So, we take a look at Abyss. He's going to be getting through no matter what. Ali can take this if he at least draws one of the games or wins one of the games, he will be guaranteed a slot in the top four. Pluto the Brave, if he wins both of his games, will definitely shoot up into the top four with, 33 points. So he would definitely be up there. And then we take a look currently, ongoing as this game goes on. I want to make sure that it's not... Ooh, they're in the seek. But as this game goes on, also, Gawelja and Manatee are facing off. They already played their first game. They're about to start their second game. They drew the first game, which means they each get 1 point. So Manatee goes to 30 points. If he wins game 2, he goes to 32. So some interesting stuff is happening right now in the standings to see who gets top 4. So it could be any of these guys right now. So currently we're taking a look at Ali and Pluto the Brave, both top players. Ali currently, let's take a look at the TAC rating. Ali currently ranked number 4, and Pluto currently ranked number 6 on playtak. Not too much separating the two of them. They are both very, very strong players. Both also originally from the UK, just like Fwib. I don't know what they're doing. They're putting something in the water up there in the UK that gives people these great TAC abilities. But in addition to that, they are playing on weird time zones right now because Ali recently moved to, I think, Australia. So they are... they're playing at quite different times at the moment, and different from me also. So, I think we are ready to get going into Game 1 of Ali versus Pluto the Brave in this 2021 TAC Open Tournament match. All right, and we see Ali make the first move. Ali in white, Pluto in black. We go for the adjacent corners along the bottom here, and white going straight in for that center control. Not going to go with the Knight's opening that we see so often from Fwib. Pluto going to be playing out across. Let's see if he goes for A3 on the next turn. If he does, he is playing my weird opening variant, and it would be interesting to see someone like him play that. He is not, in fact. They're playing this slightly different opening that I've seen a few times before. This is not the mirrored opening that we're so used to, but it's sort of that folded mirrored opening where they don't play up adjacent to each of their starting pieces. Instead, white plays alongside of this and kind of cuts black off from those starting pieces. And black kind of opened that up by playing at d4. But after white played at e3, he played at e4 instead of doing something else, like, for example, playing that a3 move. So, here we go. Again, more along this edge. This early capstone, I think, is going to be really strong for Ali. I think it's a great position right there in the center. It covers a lot of the guidelines that we talk about in the Capstones video of TAC University, which you can check out on the YouTube channel. White continuing to push this direction, going for that momentum. Black is probably going to be one of dropping that capstone pretty soon, probably here at D2, in order to cut off that vertical threat. Perhaps maybe even at B2 to cut that off. Uncertain right now which one that would be. Maybe even a capstone at B4. Goes for the E2 instead. Makes sense also. Wants to cut white off from getting that connection to this F1 spot so it doesn't go for the vertical threat after switching gears. So white is going to switch gears, go for that vertical after this momentum is not stopped, but has the potential to be basically just shut down. So here comes white going upwards at the B4 placement. Black now has to come up with some way to combat this and also start making their own threats. And that's where it becomes a little bit difficult at this point in the game to figure out how to transition, how to take that momentum back when you're black. And so he does that by cutting off right up ahead. White immediately places up at C5, ready to come back over, capture left, capture down, do something in order to connect to that capstone and maybe go for this vertical threat, maybe go for the horizontal still. There's a lot of options that white still has left to him. Black is a little short in terms of those options. I think we may be seeing either a B6 or an A5 placement here from black, and that's to solidify this position, protect this flat from getting captured and just forcing more of that vertical threat. But here instead we're seeing black play down at D2. Now this doesn't do anything to address white's potential vertical line that they're going for. So I think that's interesting, and I wonder what black's plan is here to address that, because he's going to have to address it pretty soon. White is building down below. Oh, potentially black is going to go for the horizontal threat along the bottom, placing down at B1, C1, going across the bottom of the board, and then going for this horizontal along this side. That could be something that they go for here, trying to cut off white's vertical threat that way. It's hard to say. There are quite a lot of options when it comes to the early game in TAC. I'm not really sure about this D5 placement. Again, it doesn't do much for the immediate, not the immediate, but the very soon incoming white threat in the vertical direction. I feel like this B1 placement might have been better. Sure, it would have led to a C1 placement from white, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what is the right play here. But D5 just seems really passive to me. It wants to come over onto C5 and go for that horizontal in that way, but it, again, invites white to come up with a capstone, go for some liabilities. Maybe C4 wants to come up onto C5. That way, the white capstone doesn't have any black flats to capture onto, and if he wants to move anywhere, he's going to have to capture onto his own flats. So white does place down at B1 now, and black wants to be able to do something about this, cut off this vertical threat that's going to be made on the next turn. So white can make a tack threat on the next turn by either capturing over left or capturing up with a capstone. Instead, black decides, you know what, I'm going to drop a wall right here onto C2, ready to come over onto B2 and ruin that whole vertical threat for you right from the start. And I would normally say that's not a bad idea. That's very defensive. However, white's capstone's right here, and they're able to place down at C2 after this wall comes over, and then place at C1 after that, and just continue to build for those vertical threats. And I don't think that's something that that black wants to have to deal with here. Black might, if C2 comes left and white fills in at C2, black might have to drop another wall on C1. So I don't know. White's in a really good position here. And let's see where we go. Is white going to fill in there at C2? And keep in mind, white can make a horizontal tack threat at any point by placing at F3 or at A3 or at A4. Any of those moves would give white a horizontal tack threat, and black would have to stop that, likely by coming up with this capstone E2+. And E2+ is the portable tack notation, or PTN. We talk about that in the PTN, or portable tack notation, video of Tack University. All right, now white did fill in at C2, black placed at C1. Will we see white place here at D1? Placing a D1 would not be a tack threat, but it would threaten a tack threat. No, instead we see white's capstone come up onto c4. This is not a tack threat, but this isn't too bad. I'd say this is a pretty good position for white, but he doesn't really have any active threats going on at the moment. He can make an active threat by placing at c3, and black can decide, all right, I'm going to get rid of all of that and just drop a wall here on c3. That would work out for him. But again, it's another wall, and that doesn't really count for his flat count at the moment. And so that is a little iffy. You'd have to be careful about that. Don't want to jump in too soon on that one. Okay, so now we see black play a flat there at c3. I don't know about that. That is... I don't know, that might invite some trouble. We could see a d3 left, which would be a tack threat. But, I mean, it is important to note that we do have black's flats here on d5 and on b5 that can come over onto c5. So, not in as much trouble as I originally thought just because of that. So white is now playing up at d6, and we may be seeing something like working on cutting off black's vertical threats that they were going to have in the next few turns, and maybe go for another horizontal in a different direction, something like that. There's a lot that white can be doing here. And it looks like they're doing a lot of that at the moment. All right, the e2 plus black's capstone finally does move here. And I think that was a solid time to move this capstone up, even though it wasn't necessarily, necessary right at that moment. I think it is pretty helpful. All right, what are we looking at here? We are seeing... F5. Okay. So now the F5 placement works towards white's horizontal tack threat. And the way that works is, let's say F5, and then this D6 comes down. That's a tack threat for white by placing it A4 or A3. That works. We may see something like that pretty soon. No, instead the capstone comes right after black fills in at E2. Black can make a tack threat now on this turn by placing anything down here, by capturing here, by capturing here. Any of those are tack threats, but now that this white capstone is here, this capstone can come over onto E4 and threaten to retake any stack if black captures here, or if black makes a placement down below, this flat is needed to capture over onto E5. And that capstone coming up and capturing onto D5 would basically kill that option. No more threat available in the vertical direction because E5 is no longer able to be captured in a significant way. So white now has this horizontal line that's working out for him pretty well. I'd say white's in solid control of this game and has been since probably the very beginning, has been making some really smart moves, and some of the moves that I've seen Pluto make are not as good as I normally see from him. So, at least in my head, I could be way off base here. These are both really, really strong players, and most days can boast a much better game than me. All right, so we do see this vertical tack threat from black. Black placing at D1 is a tack threat, and so white is going to have to address that somehow. They can make some captures down here that aren't very strong. They can capture over onto E4 with this capstone, which would be very strong. Or they can capture up, like I was saying earlier, and that's exactly what they do. And this builds towards their own horizontal tack threat and cuts off black's vertical at the same time. I think that was a solid move, and I think that was the right one to make here. Black is going to have to watch out. He is going to be using these flats here on E6 to come down eventually onto E5. I'm pretty positive about that. Or jumping up with the capstone onto e5 itself to cut things off, because white's got opportunities to come. Okay, that was a smart move there, being able to come down onto f5 and capture there, and that cuts off white's threat and renews his own threat. That's a solid move. I'd say f6 is a really good one there. But white can play at f4 and basically protect that to be recaptured. In addition, f4 also works towards a vertical threat along this line. So I think f4 works really well for white here. Goes for a wall instead. All right. Goes for the wall instead. Now, this is a pretty defensive wall. There's no stack that this wall can capture onto. It's not going to be making any positive flat count differential moves in the near future. It might later on, but it is up against the wall. By wall, I mean the edge. I should just say the edge of the board. And so it doesn't, I don't know. It's not great for an offensive wall, but it is really great for cutting things off. I still think a flat would have worked just fine here. Would have helped out Ali's flat count and worked towards this vertical threat. I think that would have been the play to make here. But the wall definitely guarantees that black's not making this vertical threat anymore. Black's going to have to shift gears for the horizontal, and black shifting gears for horizontal means white has plenty of time to go for his own horizontal. Let's take a look at the flat count right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's plus 2 Comey, because this tournament rule settings, that's 12 for black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 for white. So black is still a bit ahead in terms of flat count, but it is a while yet before they get down to running out of reserves or filling up this board. So it is something to keep track of throughout the game, but it is not going to make or break the game just yet. But they are definitely keeping track of that flat count as they make these moves. Let's also take a look at the time difference between these two players. Pluto down to 10:45 and Ali at 13:45. And again, they did start this tournament with 15 minutes on the clock, and they get 15-second increment, meaning they get 15 seconds added to their time for every turn they play. All right, now black playing over at c4, and then we immediately get white playing up at b6, and then right after that, this flat coming down, making that tag threat, and then the wall coming right back up onto f5, renewing that, or stopping the tag threat that black had going for him. But now white has to move this wall in order to make this horizontal line. And if white moves the wall now, black's wall comes down. If white plays at a6, black plays yet another wall here at f4 and makes it so this wall can't move. So it is a resource-heavy plan to stop this threat, that's for sure. But I think if I'm Ali, I might want to just play at a6 anyway. But he's going for f4. Okay, so he's stopping black from playing that wall there. That's a good play. Stopping black from playing the wall there so he can play a6 on the next turn. That's pretty smart. That's pretty smart. And if black plays a wall or something here, white can just bring this flat down. Or place at a4, place at a3 in order to bring the flat down on the next turn, something like that. This is a tough position for black. Pluto is really just trying to hang on here. Ali's playing a phenomenal game. There's a reason he's in that top 5 position on playtak and in the top 3 positions currently in the tournament. He is a very, very strong player. Again, something in the water in the UK Fwib, Ali, Pluto, Inaria, Nitzel. We've got a number of strong players over there in the UK. All right. Pluto's still taking his time here, down to about 9 minutes on the clock. Be interesting to see what his response is, and it's coming over with his own wall onto E6. I didn't see that coming, but that's a fun move. Unfortunately, I think now white just takes 2f5 left here. I think 2f5 left still allows white to maintain that threat and gives him an opportunity to make a positive flat count differential move. Black's able to bring this wall over left, covering onto d6 and c6, but white still has the opportunity to come down with b6 and continue on for that horizontal line. Nope, just going to go straight for the threat at a6 already. Alrighty. Now, this is where I expect... I mean, black wants to make the positive flat count differential move, and he does. Oh man, things are going to really unfurl here. We've got some liabilities. Well, a liability now from white that white can recapture, maybe with a capstone. We've got a wall stack here. White able to continue making some threats. White can just start placing some flats, maybe here at d4, maybe off to the side, go for some more threats. I think that this position, this move right here at 22 is where the game is really starting to change and where we're going to see this sort of domino effect of lots of different movements, lots of different threats happening left and right. We're going to see some pinball action going back and forth between these two players. I think black did a really good job of stopping the momentum of white, at least for the moment. I think white can renew some threats and keep things going pretty well, but black's not too bad right now after that throw. Or spread. Yeah, after the spread. Pretty good position. Ali's probably going to be taking his time here. I think he was mostly focused on looking at this e5 minus move and maybe didn't really have a plan for that throw. And so I am intrigued. I'm interested to see what white does here. This capstone does have 3 black flats under it, so that can be a problem too. Halting the mobility of that capstone, it's going to be a tough one. In this tournament, I did get to play against PlutoTheBrave. I did not, however, play against Ali, and I pretty much always play Ali in whichever tournament we're playing, but this time it wasn't the case. Oh wow, that was quick. So we did see this move up from white, making the tack threat, and then black coming down with the wall right away. Ooh, I mean, that's so tempting to smash that, but if he does, he loses because black can spread the stack down for a vertical road, so obviously he can't do that. He can place up at c6, however, and keep going for the threat. He can capture up onto d6 if he wants to do that now. He's got a few options here. He does decide to make that capture. Now it's important to note he has 4 black flats and 1 white flat, and this is a stack of 6, which means that is he can carry the whole stack here, but he won't be able to carry any more flats that he picks up underneath this whole stack, for example. So 6 is the carry limit, and that is a 6 stone stack. Let's see what we see next from black. Will he be doing something very defensive, like dropping a wall on c6? Will he start playing for another threat? He doesn't really have too many options in terms of threats, unfortunately. I mean, I guess coming down with b5 could be a threat. Playing at a4 could be a threat. Not an immediate threat, but one in another couple turns. White does have momentum in terms of threats here. White's still in a pretty strong position here. Let's take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 flats for white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 for black. Yeah. White not only is ahead in terms of positioning on the board, white is doing pretty well, holding his own in terms of flats, even with this 2 Comey on the board. Pluto's not out of the game yet. He still has plenty of options here to come back, but it's looking pretty solid for white at the moment. So Ali's doing a great job. Pluto's doing a great job holding them off, to be honest. Like I was saying, I did play against PlutoTheBrave in this tournament, and we split our games, and in the game that he beat me in, we both made a few errors, but he played a really strong game. In the game that I won, I think he was just, I think his brain was melted from the previous game that went on so long. And I think that was the problem there. But Ali and I pretty much always play together every tournament that we're in. And this time we didn't. And that was weird. Unusual. Even when we played the Ryder Cup tournament last year, the Ryder Cup being where it was Europe versus the USA, Ali and I, everybody played just one match, and Ali and I played the one match against each other. And so we were randomly set up against each other. So that was fun. But yeah, this is first time in a while I haven't played against Ali, and it's probably just because I wasn't playing well enough this tournament to face up against him, since he was doing so well from the very beginning. Okay, so we did see the A4 placement from black. Now, that is what I was talking about earlier. He's going for this horizontal threat, just trying to work towards that with the b5 minus eventually. White can make a threat here by placing it c5. No, doesn't. He goes for the e6. Now, I like this placement at e6 for a couple reasons. Number one, yes, it is a attack threat. Him capturing over onto c5 or dropping a flat onto c5 would be a threat. Black has to stop that now with a wall or by capturing up onto b5. Doesn't want to capture up onto b5 because that would keep him from making this threat down below. Instead, he drops a wall here to stop white from smashing. White smashes, then this black stack spreads down, but now white can go for the vertical threat along the right-hand side. And not only go for the vertical threat, but sort of cut off black's ability to make this horizontal threat. Keep going for that, and sort of make these threats along the side. Now, what I think might be a good option here is maybe drop a white flat here at e1 before capturing up with f1. That could work. It would likely lead to a stack war with e2 coming over onto f2 afterwards. And then if f3 comes down, that could be problematic, because then black wants to maybe build a wall here, something like that. I don't know. It's tough to say. There's a lot of things that could go down there at the bottom, but I think the first step that white wants to do is drop a flat at e1. Unless there's something else that he could be going for. Maybe place here at d4, have some central flat that can capture over and ruin sort of these plans that black has been building towards. But I do like the e1 placement a lot there. And black can make an attack threat on the next turn. White can also make attack threat on this turn. I think if white makes an e1 placement, black might go for the b5 minus. Because, yeah, I don't know. Things are starting to really spiral here, starting to domino. Lots of different moves and stack placements are changing. And this is where it's really hard to predict what the next moves are, because there are so many different viable moves that each player can make that forward their own position or that thwart the enemy position. It's pretty solid. It's a pretty solid part of the game right here. And I think that all started, I believe that started a few turns back. When was that? That was, yeah, right around here. I think after move 22 is when that really started. And things have just been going crazy ever since. Let's also take a look at the reserves here. They're both right about even on reserves, from what I can tell. So, I don't know. This could go either way, guys. It could go either way. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 white flats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 black flats. White comes down, spreading the capstone. Ooh, that's an interesting play. What am I even looking at here? Okay, I see what I'm looking at. White can come up with C2 to make attack threat by placing either here at, really just placing at A3. Okay. So maybe he'll be placing at A3 on the next turn. But this is working towards that horizontal threat. Interesting. Also, if for whatever reason this wall stack comes down or something, white will be able to smash it without losing. I'm pretty positive. At least without losing immediately. Now, there's a lot going on here. A lot going on. Oh, okay. All right. So black plays here at A3, and that stops white from playing there and making that horizontal tag threat. However, now white can do something like maybe C2 right, which seems like it does nothing. However, that would be a tag threat by throwing this stack over onto F2. I don't think that you can rely on those sneaky threats at this high level of play. Sneaky threats do sometimes work. We did see Pluto fall for a sneaky threat against Inaria earlier on in the tournament, another UK player. However, that was, I think that was a very interesting situation. Very, very easy to miss that threat. I definitely missed it when I was commentating live on the game. It was hard to see. So, because you were focused on one threat and it did another. Anyway, if you haven't seen that, go check that game out. Absolutely, it's a lot of fun. But what will Ali do here? That is the question. He can play down to D1. He can make the capture. He can play at A5. He can capture up onto F2. There's a lot going on in this game, and it can go a lot of different ways. This is a really tricky board position for both players. Black's kind of got his concrete setup. He knows what he's going for. He knows what threats he can make. He knows where he can go in order to make them. White, however, has so many different options of where to go that it makes coming up with the right move a lot more difficult. While white does have a little bit more variability, can go for some vertical lines over here, can go for some horizontal lines over here. There's variability there, and so it's hard to tell which move is the best. For black, it's a little more straightforward because you can say, all right, this advances my position. This is what moves I need to make because I only have 2 or 3 solid moves that I can do here. For white, it's like, okay, I only have 2 or 3 dozen moves I can make here, is what it feels like. And so it's a lot harder to narrow that down and to make those decisions. And we take a look, while before Ali was way up on time, now down to 5 minutes, 45 seconds, Pluto at 6 minutes. So now Pluto is ahead on time after previously being several minutes behind. So this is definitely a tough position. Ali taking his time, doing the smart thing, and not playing way too quickly like I typically do. And I'm sure he'll find a good move here. I'm just trying to figure out what that is. I don't know what move I would make in this position. E1, I like E1 for whatever reason. I think that's a decent move. A5 is tempting also. Ooh, and he moves the capstone yet again, but that's important to note. He moved 5d4 left. That means this is a 6 stone stack. Now, 6 stone stack means he's got right here a full stack that he cannot, well, he can lift the whole thing without leaving behind any flats, but I think what he wants to do here, if I'm not mistaken, is smash this stack on c5. If he smashes the stack on c5, the way the board currently is, that is Tinue. I'm pretty positive that if black doesn't do something to stop this from happening, that would be Tinue. And one of the ways he can do that, black, is just by placing here at d4. Placing at d4 would stop that, because then white would not be able to smash onto c5, and this black, because if white smashed, then black would just move over to the left and win with a road, because this would connect here all the way, or, yeah, and so that would be the way to do that. So I like placing at d4. What did he do instead? 2e3 left? Oh, he moved his capstone. That does the same thing. Moving the capstone over also makes the connection in the horizontal direction, so white cannot make that smash. I liked the placement a little bit more, obviously, because it gets your reserves down and gets more flats on the board for your position that way. So I liked that one a little bit more, but this one also does the same thing. Black currently has no tack threat. White could capture with c2 over to d2 to act like he's trying to cut black off from this horizontal line so he can smash. And doing that would also be a tack threat by throwing that stone. That could be a nice little feint. I sometimes like to do that. I think about making a move that would be sort of a sneaky threat, but then I have to make sure that I can make that sneaky threat while also defending a threat from my opponent. And so if it looks like I'm making a defensive move, then they're not expecting the sneaky offensive move that comes out of that one, if that makes sense. And so that's something I'd like to try to do sometimes when I spot them. This could be an opportunity for Ali to do that as well. But man, yeah, this is a tricky position. He does decide to instead capture up with f1, and that is a tack threat in the vertical direction for white. Ew, yes, but if black captures over here, black can't renew this. He's got to do something. White wants to smash that stack. Black might need to toss this stack to the right over onto e5. And the reason for that is black needs to stop this vertical threat, but at the same time, black needs to get this stack out of the way. Now white's going to smash that. White now smashes this stack, and I think that's Tinue. No, it's not Tinue because this capstone can come up onto d5. But dang, is it close. It is close if white smashes here. And if black brings this capstone up, he's got to leave behind a white flat here. White then wins the capture war onto this. So yeah, he goes for the smash. Black is going to have to move this capstone up onto d5. That's the only way he can for sure shut this whole thing down. Black may decide to come up here first with e5, and then e6 comes down, and then the capstone's going to have to come up. So he's going to have to bring that capstone up here. There's no other move for him. This may be the beginning of the end right here for Black. White could be coming ahead. Oh, this is tricky. This is tricky. So after Black brings this capstone up, so it's going to be 3d3 plus 1, 2. What's White's move? Does White bring his whole capstone stack down? So now we're going to see e6 minus. I mean, that's got to be the move we see, right? e6 minus to renew that horizontal threat and force Black to throw that capstone stack up. Yep, that's what happens. Now the capstone has to come up. And if the capstone comes up, does this whole stack come down? Does this come left? What are we going to see here? He definitely wants to take care of this stack now that he can no longer renew his tack threat. And whether it's with b4, d4, or c5 in some way, that remains to be seen. I would probably bring the whole stack down. Maybe. No, he leaves behind one white flat. I like that too. Also a good way to do it. Now White wants to maybe place here at e4, but Black will probably capture over onto e5. Reason Black wants to capture over onto e5 is to liberate the captive that's there under it. But now, man, this looks really bad for Black. Let's take a look at the flat count differential here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 for White. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 10, 11 for Black. Black can make a +2 move here and bring himself to 13. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So White places here at like a5 or something, or here at e4. Then Black can make the +2 move, and that takes Black to 13 and White down to 12. So Black would take the flat count lead in that situation. White definitely doesn't want to play here at d5. That gives Black a +3 move. Doesn't want that to happen. And again, these plus moves and stuff like that I'm talking about, that refers to the flat count differential, or FCD. And you can check that out in the flat count differential, or FCD video of TAC University right there on the YouTube. So it looks like White has played here at d3, and that's away from this capstone stack. Not going to be making any positive flat count differential moves with that on top of this one here. But it looks like we may be seeing a play. Oh, if he plays here at e3, it's still a +2 move for Black. And then Black's got more. This looks way better for Black now. Black now has taken the lead dramatically in terms of flats and in terms of flat count differential potential. Black can make a +3 move now, or sorry, a +3 move with this wall. Can make a +2 move with this capstone. Black is now trying to force a flat game from White to win this against White, and I think that's a good play here. This is going to be tough to come back from for White. White now playing down at f2, ready to come back and capture up onto f3 to try and make that horizontal tack threat yet again. Black can just capture right back on over with that wall and then throw it left, spreading, making the vertical tack threat. This looks really bad for White. White, after having been in the lead for the whole time, basically this whole game, you then see, boom, things shifted. all these dominoes started collapsing, and these stacks moving around and spreading and unfolding in all these different ways. So many different ways this game could have turned out, and this is one of the billions of different combinations here. And I really like the excitement, that's for sure. But it's looking pretty bad here for Ali. Ali also down on time now, down to 1 minute and 40 seconds on the clock. Pluto the Brave at 3 minutes 26 seconds. So Pluto now extending his time lead in addition to extending his flat count lead on the board. White's going to have to think of some clever things in order to come out ahead here. Decides to place up at e6. I don't understand that, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. Sure there is. I'm just trying to figure out what it is. I would have understood maybe a5. Or even a c5 left. Those would have made sense. I even would have understood a 2c4 minus. Also would have been perfectly acceptable. Trying to bait out that wall stack to come over and capture onto c4. But I don't know that I understand this move. And Pluto might be trying to make sense of it as well. But Pluto can just start going for his own threats here. Pluto placing up at d6. Looks like he's content to just keep placing flats now since he's got the flat game, I think, in the bag at this point. Let's take a look at the counts, the flat count yet again. I know, I'm sorry for counting so much. If you've seen my other videos, I do count a lot because I have a hard time keeping track of these. Sorry. So I think that's 13 for white. $14 for black with the Komi included. Yeah, that's tricky. And black has a +2 move and white has a +2 move, which means they equal each other out. So they've got that that one difference there. A5 finally placed here from white. Okay, I did see that one coming before. Now, will we see... What are we going to see from black here? Because I think white wants to do c5 left. White doing c5 left would work out pretty well for him, as it would make that horizontal tack threat. And then white could make the vertical tack threat also. Okay, is this a threat? Yes, this is a vertical tack threat. Black coming left with f3 would be a road. So white coming up with f2 just gets stopped by this wall. That's not great. And then black can make even more positive flat count differential moves after that. White needs to stop that in some other way. Oh, he missed it. He missed the threat. So white missed the threat. Black can now just come over with 2f3 left and win with a road, as long as he sees it. I don't think white saw it here. Oh, wait. No, never mind. It's still white's turn. My bad. I thought white had placed somewhere here. My bad. White comes across with d6, or with e6 to d6. Okay, I think I see what he's doing here. That's why he played at e6 before, to cut off the vertical threat option for black without making the capture. Now does black just place here at e6? Then this wall comes left. Huh. I don't know how this is going to turn out. Now is the f6 wall coming left. All right. Now is black going to place at f6? No, black is going to capture over onto c6 to go for more positive flat count differential moves. White now makes this horizontal tack threat while black doesn't have one. So this is a tack threat going from A5 all the way over here to F3. F2 plus comes up, makes the road. Black's going to have to stop that. Black can stop that by coming over here with 2 F3 left. That would be a tack threat for black and cut off white's horizontal tack threat. Then white coming right wouldn't do anything. That would still leave that for black. What's the play here? Oh, black comes down with the wall. That's interesting. All right, so if white takes this stack and brings it down, what happens? So white taking this stack, so 2c4 minus is a vertical and a horizontal tack threat at the same time, and can be stopped, but I think that's his best move. I think he needs to do 2c4 minus here. And will he see it? If he does 2c4 minus, he can still afford to smash this wall if it comes left, but he won't need to because he'll have a horizontal or a vertical road here. This wall will need to be thrown up. No, that wouldn't even stop it. That's not attenuate. This capstone or these flats would have to come over onto C5 and B5. That's the way to stop it. But instead, white played down at E2. I don't understand that move. Now black's made the tack threat yet again. Is white going to come up with E1 now? No, white came over with F2. Okay, so this is now a vertical tack threat for white. Man, this is tricky. This is tricky. This is some high quality play. We're seeing a good game here. I thought it was over for white a while ago. Now he's playing just down here really low on time. 24 seconds on the clock. I mean, that means that he had 10 seconds on the clock, or 9 seconds? Yeah, 9 seconds on the clock when time ran out. Pluto now below a minute. Pluto comes down with the wall stack, not making a tack threat for black. Now, Ali can come down with 2c4 minus again, and not only make the vertical tack threat, but also threaten to smash this d3 stack. I like it. I like it. I still think that 2c4 minus would have worked better a couple moves ago, but you're really low on time and it's hard to see and things like that. He instead plays at d4, which is not a threat of any kind that I'm aware of. And it does allow black to make some positive flag on differential moves. I don't know. I think Ali is basically giving up. Or, no, Ali's just pressed for time. I mean, he's down to 5 seconds on the clock again. Plays now at C6. What's the flat count here? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 14, 14. White has one positive flat count differential move, 1 plus 2. So they're even. Now it's 14, 15. White to black, 14, 15. And no tack threat, but close. Now it's 15, 15. White's going to try to get black to go for a draw, but I don't think black's going to go for that. I think he wants to win this. Black makes the tack threat and makes the positive move. This looks really bad for for white here. Makes the capture to stop it. Will black come over with this? He does. Now white comes over with a5. And then does black come over with the capstone? No, he comes down. That's interesting. I didn't expect that. I expected the capstone to come over. White drops a wall. White has one flat left, or one reserve. Black has two reserves. And black is now counting. Just like I am. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 to 14. Now it's 11 to 15. But black can now place that flat and take the win. 11 to 15. Congratulations, PlutoTheBrave, on that well-deserved victory. That was a phenomenal play and a really, really great game to see that come out. That was a lot of fun to watch. There were a lot of moves that from both players that I was like, why would you do that? But then, yeah, they were really low on time, both of them. So I totally get not making certain moves. And also the moves I was going to suggest were probably not that great anyway. Though, I mean, come on, they were probably not terrible. But yeah, that was a really phenomenal game. It was a lot of fun to watch that one. And congratulations to PlutoTheBrave for winning game 1 of this matchup. That brings his score to 31. Right up here. And so now he has 31. Nohat has 31. Ali has 31. And that's pretty fun. And so let's see. And I'm hearing now from the Discord chat that the Manatee and Gawelja game got a draw in both games, which is like unheard of. But Manatee now comes up to 31. Gawelja comes up to 29. So that puts me in 10th. You know what? I'm okay with top 10. All right. Anyway, so that goes for Manatee at 31. Ali at 31, Pluto at 31 until their next game. And so this next game, one of these two players, Ali or Pluto, is going to be going up above that 31 mark. Now, where Manatee ends up falling in terms of the tiebreak with Nohat or whatever, if someone's left behind at 31 points, which is going to happen unless Ali and Pluto draw this next game. If Ali and Pluto draw the next game, then it's Fwib, Abyss, Ali, and Pluto in terms of who's winning here. But if they don't, if Ali wins the next game or Pluto wins the next game, then 4th place is going to have to be won by a tiebreak between somebody. They're going to have to play some games together to figure that out. So that's pretty nuts. I'm kind of hoping that's the case here, that we see, because if we see a draw between the two of them, then it's decided. If we don't see a draw between the two of them, we're definitely going to be getting some tiebreak games to see who qualifies in those top 4 slots, because the top 4 again make it to the championship next year. Okay, this is awesome. This is fun. This is a great end to the tournament. I mean, who would have expected Manatee and Gawelja to get a draw in both games? Like, what? What? Wow, that's crazy. So, I think we're going to see some really fun games. Anyway, that is all for today. Thanks for watching. This match was split up into 2 videos because the games were so long, but they were some excellent TAC that we got to see here. Be sure to check out the description below for all things TAC, especially the TAC Discord server, which is the community hub and where you can find all sorts of people to play with online, whether that be on playtak.com or through the Discord itself, playing asynchronously. Tons of other resources available for you right there in the Discord as well. Excellent place to go. Anyway, that is all for today. Thanks for watching, and until next time, have a great day and happy tacking.